this is interesting. He says the federal government can't do anything. But Joe Biden then blames the Republicans, he says, for blocking funds to local police departments. So which is the argument? What are they going to settle on? That the Republicans undermine local police departments? Or that there's nothing we can do about local police departments? They're holding their hearings, as you saw, in Manhattan, and people are trying to speak about what's taken place. And they're calling out the Democrats. And most of the people speaking, their party affiliation is irrelevant. It's just that the Democrats don't give a damn about crime. That's the bottom line. And their policies run counter to what's necessary to be done to prevent it. That's the bottom line. And so take a look at this. Go.
There was plenty of other drama to fill the void today, thanks to Donald Trump's lackeys on Capitol Hill.
See that? So every Republican that holds a hearing is a Donald Trump lackey, and the entire purpose of holding a hearing is to cover up for Donald Trump and to politicize events. It's just sick. And that's how she starts out. Go ahead.
Who dragged the House Judiciary Committee on a field trip to New York City. Not to go to Times Square or to catch a Broadway show, but to star, rather, in their own theatrical performance.
So there you go. It's a theatrical performance. Do you think all those witnesses whose families have horrifically suffered are part of a theatrical show? Do you think they're part of a theatrical show? They're not. Their testimony isn't even taken seriously. And the witnesses are black, Jewish, Hispanic, white, Christian, Asian. I've seen them all. But it doesn't matter. This is a theatrical show that Trump's lapdogs are involved in. And so if you're somebody who just watches MSNBC or reads the New York Times, you have no idea what's going on in this country. None. Go ahead.
It was in the form of a field hearing targeting Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, the man who is leading the criminal indictment of Donald Trump, accusing Bragg of being soft on crime.
He is soft on crime. Why do you think Soros backed him? What's he, strong on crime? Go ahead.
It is just the latest stunt by Republicans in their efforts to try to discredit Bragg's criminal case against their dear leader.
There doesn't need to be a stunt to discredit Bragg's case. Everybody's discredited. And in terms of the dear leader stuff, she wants you to believe that the Republicans are North Korea. The dear leader. Actually, it's she, her ideology, her Marxism, that should be talking about dear leader. Go ahead.
Here in Manhattan, the scales of justice are weighed down by politics. For the district attorney, justice isn't blind. It's about looking for opportunities to advance a political agenda, a radical political agenda.
He said that here in Manhattan, the scales of justice are being weighed down by politics, and they are, but only today. In America, being rich, being powerful, even being president of the United States does not entitle you to violate the law.
Oh, yes, it does. Entitled Ted Kennedy to violate the law, Chappaquiddick. And entitles Democrats to violate the law all the time. Now, that said, notice she plays Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff is a reprobate. Adam Schiff is a psychopath. Adam Schiff is a serial liar. Adam Schiff has done grave damage to this country, including the Intelligence Committee, where Pelosi handed him responsibility for handling 2 phony impeachments because Gerald Nadler was incapable of doing it, the head of the Judiciary Committee. So I don't think we need lectures from Adam Schiff, who, by the way, is running for the Senate in the state of California. Go ahead.
With impunity.
Joining me now are 2 Democrats who attended today's field
Oh,
hearing.
wow, that's very balanced. 2 Democrats. And 2 real a-holes, if you ask me, particularly the guy on the right, this guy Goldman. He was a so-called prosecutor in the Southern District of New York. And he once said, he's a new member of the House, that he's going to spend most of his time focused on getting Donald Trump because his brother hated Donald Trump. And he said some of the most outrageous things at the hearing that caused a black woman to say, whose son was murdered, to say, don't talk down to me, I'm not stupid, and that he was so offensive. He called the event a charade in front of this woman who's testifying about the murder of her son. and that 4 people murdered him, 2 went to prison, and 2 haven't gone anywhere. They're still negotiating. So she brings them on, MSNBC, Joy Reid, 2 Democrats. Go ahead.
Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas and Congressman Dan Goldman of New York. Representative Goldman, this is your city, so I'm going to go ahead and start with you first. What was the what do you think was gotten out of this hearing today?
Very little, because it wasn't a serious.
See, and I've asked this guy Goldman to come on my radio show 3 times, and Mr. Tough Guy, former prosecutor, won't come on the show. 3 times, like Mr. Tough Guy. Raskin, Jamie Raskin in the House, we've asked him 3 times to come on the show. He won't come on the show. They don't want to debate me because they're gutless. They do this instead. Nothing came out of the hearing. Nothing. You must have ice water in your veins. You hear that last gentleman on anti-Semitism? You probably saw Ms. Brame, who spoke about the murder of her veteran son, African-American. You probably saw the man that ran the bodega who couldn't speak English, who was attacked and had to fight for his life. What he said about what was going on, they don't care. Go ahead.
It was about a local prosecutor dealing with state law. Congress, of course, deals with federal law. But the clear intention was...
This is interesting. He says the federal government can't do anything. But Joe Biden then blames the Republicans, he says, for blocking funds to local police departments. So which is the argument? What are they going to settle on? That the Republicans undermine local police departments, or that there's nothing we can do about local police departments? Now, Joe Biden is a liar. He is a liar of an expert kind, of an extraordinary kind, of an unusually good kind, in the sense that he knows how to lie better than most. And so he takes that $1.7 trillion boondoggle bill, which was an attack on capitalism, an attack on energy independence, which they called the Inflation Reduction Act, which is called inflation to go through the roof. And they have language in there that says localities and states can use a certain amount of money for what they think they need to use it for when it comes to infrastructure. So maybe they could have used it for police, but it had nothing to do with police. And so that's how Biden says they voted against funding for police. And so you actually have to take 20 seconds to unravel the lie, which means you're not going to be able to in time for these quick television hits. Go ahead.
Create a political stunt to undermine District Attorney Bragg. And they're doing this at the direction and coordination with Donald Trump.
They're doing it at the direction and coordination of Donald Trump. And he knows that how. He doesn't know anything. Now, of course, they have 2 local prosecutors investigating Trump. They have a phony special counsel investigating Trump. 4 grand juries, all Democrat cities. You've got the Attorney General of the United States coordinating the federal activities. You've got the President of the United States, who should be subjected to a special counsel at the appointment of the Attorney General, who's being protected. And they're worried about this hearing being political.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.